Well, since I have helpers, we're gonna make them pull. Yay, my pack mules. I like it. Welcome back. Friday evening, we just got in. Well, Friday, 4 o'clock. With my two helpers, I showed you pulling us in, but wow, it's beautiful up here. Got a nice fire going. Egg carton. Okay, what do I say? One match, or you did it wrong? Let's see. Oh yeah, that baby's gonna go. In the fireplace, and about ready to start some dinner. The kids are hungry as can be already, but I'm gonna try to do some milling this weekend, see if I can't get my milling station set back up. I'm gonna try to move some snow away from the log cabin so that we can do some work on that as well. So also just a big time relaxing weekend. I'm gonna make the kids chop some wood, move some logs back over to the chopping station. You know, just good old fashioned work in the mountains in the winter. So hope you enjoyed this one. So one of my goals this weekend is to get this milled up. So I'm gonna need to peel it and get my milling. And this is where I'm gonna set up, and I'm gonna probably try to build some tripods, maybe not today or tomorrow, but in the very near future. So next to the cabin can be a nice milling station right where we chop wood, so we can have all of this mess in one place. So let's dig this log out so it can start drying out a little bit for tomorrow. Might peel pretty well. So the other thing I'm working on is getting my shower water ready for tonight. So found an area that's kind of got some clean snow. I've already filled my big tub up that you always see on the fireplace. I'm gonna use this now to keep topping it off. You know, every half hour I'll put another one of these in until I got a full tank of water. So once we get our water up to the temperature that we like for a shower, bring it on in here. And this is that little pump right here. So I dropped a little pump in there. I put a screen over it to keep some of the residue out. This is the battery pack right here. So we just hit the button on the battery pack. And there it is, running water for a shower. So that's how you shower in the winter at the cabin.
Hot. Range safe. All right, these are all 4 of my shots. Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, and shot 4.
Nice. So I'm getting to work a lot later than I wanted to today. Kids had so much fun shooting guns, and obviously saw us film that. So I'm going to try to get as much of this peeled as I can. Then I'm going to try to get a couple of stumps that I can lay to get underneath here and use as kind of upright supports to hold it so I'm not on my hands and knees doing the milling here in a little bit. And I'm not even sure I'm going to get to mill today. It's after 2 o'clock. It's windy, it's cold, and I have not started the elk stew I'm gonna make tonight. That elk stew is gonna be phenomenal, by the way. I'll show you what it looks like as I get it going and when it's done. So let's get started on this. Having some issues with this ice. Now that was nothing that I had to do, but it makes it easier for milling when you have the bark off. Less thickness and it doesn't dull the blade as much. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to take these 2 stumps and I'm going to mill a flat side onto them and then kind of notch them out in a little cup so that I have something to set this big log on and hold it steady while I mill. So let's get the chainsaw going. What do you think? 5.5 foot pry bar? Get it loose in the ice? Yep. So it sits on the ground flat, and then cup a piece out. So I'll cut my flat sides first, lay them down, then I'll cup out where the log will go. Ripping that direction is so hard on the chainsaw. It's like milling will be here in a little bit, but this is a crosscut chain, not a ripping chain. So it had to work a little harder than I wanted to. So now we'll set it up and we'll get the divots cut into it. Very similar to notching the log cabin over here. Check it out. Perfect. Do the other one now. Need my green tool. Woo! It's heavy. Woo hoo hoo, that's a big bitch. Woo! Look at that. This bad boy's rock solid on there. A lot easier to mill at this level. Just got to finish peeling this bark, and I'll probably get it set up with the milling equipment, and I probably won't do it till tomorrow because I got to change chains and set up the actual milling on my chainsaw. So let's get this peeled, and then it's time go make some elk stew. Well, there we go. Set up, fell nicely into my notches I created. And then you can see I have this bar that sits on top, locks in. Here's my timber tough Alaskan sawmill. With this chainsaw, I'll change out the blade on it to one that's made for milling. So I'll just finish leveling that out tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't start making our own lumber for the rest of this cabin. So I want to do the floors and all of the roof work out of logs I mill myself, and this is going to be the start of it, along with a bunch of other really cool stuff I'm going to do this summer. I'm thinking about, and I'll give you a hint, treehouse coming up soon as well. So anyway, tomorrow we'll get after this, but now it's time to go make my elk stew. Right, here we go. I'm gonna make some elk stew. So I've got my elk round from the elk that you saw a couple of videos ago that I got out here. A couple of packs of that. New potatoes, onion, carrots, beef broth, water, all in our big pot. Then it's going to sit on the stove for a few hours, and we'll be ready once it gets dark for dinner. So let's get started with my favorite knife. Leave the steak a little bit frozen. It makes it a lot easier to cut. And this is a handful of steaks actually. If I break it apart now, even though it's slightly still frozen, it'll just make it way easier for me. Once I get these cut up into small pieces, I'm gonna brown them or sear them on the stove. Once they're seared, then they'll go in here. But before I get that going, I am going to add the beef broth and the water to the meat. Finish filling it up to get it over all of the vegetables and meat. Once it's in there, I'm gonna start with a cup of water. This is 2 right here, but I'm gonna put a cup in there to start with, and then I'll keep an eye on it a little bit later and see if I have to add another cup to it. Now I'm gonna put salt, pepper, vinegar in there, or not vinegar, salt, pepper, and garlic salt in there to get it spiced up a little bit and get it over onto the stove so it can start cooking. And while I'm doing that, the meat will get cut up. Black pepper, garlic salt. Well, there we go. On the stove, everything's nice and covered. So we're gonna let this boil now for probably 2 to 3 hours. But in about an hour, I'll get the meat in there so that can finish cooking as well. See how easy that cuts when it's a little bit frozen? It's a perfect way to do it. Into the pan with some olive oil, cut up the other one, sear it up, we're good to go. Look at how beautiful that meat is. Oh, fresh right off the land, just about a half mile down the road that way. Garlic, salt, and pepper, and this will be ready to sear up. I've already got olive oil in the bottom of the pan. Here we go, the browning begins. There you can see how much the meat has shrunk up now. It's gonna go into the pot, which is boiling real hard, and it should be about an hour and we'll be ready to eat. Oh, look at that stew. About an hour of boiling like this. I'll add a little cornstarch to it to thicken it up and make it more gravy-like, and we will be ready to eat in about an hour. I'll show it to you when it's all done. Yep, that's it. Ready to eat. So another thing we do when the nights come early, gotta sew up my pants here. So I'm gonna get started. You can see where I sewed along this edge right here. Now I've got to get the bottom of the pocket sewed up. And there's some chips from the wood I was sawing earlier today. So to work I go. This heavy Cordura material is a real pain to sew, especially when you're working in such a small area. And I got to go all the way over to here. Well, there you go. The lost art of fixing things. Too many people throw stuff away rather than trying to make it last longer. But you can see it's all stitched up and good for tomorrow. Well, good morning. Getting a really late start. Had a big breakfast. So this morning, before I can start milling, I got to change this from, like I said, a crosscut to a ripping chain. Got one right here. And then install the mill. I did take the time yesterday to set up my rails perfectly level. So I should be able to, once this is done, put gas, a little bit of bar oil, and get to work there. So let's get started taking this apart and changing the chain. Still a good chain, so we will obviously hang on to it. Ooh, look at that new chain. All right, time to get this mounted up. There you go. It's on, baby. We'll have to adjust that yet. But that's how it's going to go through, just like that. All right, you can see I've got these rails leveled very nicely. I nailed my log dogs in, so this thing, rock solid. Got the chainsaw set up, so we're going to start at that end, and we're going to come this way, try to get that top layer off. Nice. Something went wrong though. I gotta figure it out. Look at this. The ridges. I don't know what the hell happened there. And then it got smooth down here. Time for the next cut. Look at that bad boy. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's gonna make a nice about 2x10, and I'm doing actual 2-inch thick, so they're not gonna have a lot of flex. So that's some good wood. One more for the day. Well, that's gonna be it for today. 3 cuts, 2 big boards, and I'm just gonna flip this on its side so it doesn't get wet again. But look at the size of this board. I mean, that's big. So I should be able to get a couple of 2x6s out of it at least. But that's what milling's gonna look like, and I'm gonna keep going next time I get out. But I also can't reach through anymore with my 18-inch saw. I gotta bring my 20 out and use the steel to do this the rest of the way through. So time to go clean up the cabin, get my butt home, watch some football tonight. Well, we made it out. Time to head home. You can see it's still a pretty good hike up to the cabin from here. We're about 100 yards from the bottom of the ravine is all, but pretty good weekend. You know, got that log set up and, you know, milled a couple of boards off of it, which I'm happy about. Got the trail cams checked, had to fix one wasn't working anymore. Kids got to just goof around, watched a couple of movies, and just enjoyed ourselves. And man, that elk stew, bringing the rest home for the wife and daughter. So, other daughter, I should say. So, again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe so I can keep on doing these things. It's nice to see all the comments as well. And I'm answering every single one as fast as I can. So remember, do it yourself.